Center include First Lady Amy Elaine Wakeland, LA County District Attorney Jackie Lacey, and LA City Attorney Mike Fuhrer. Well, after years of belt tightening at City Hall and at companies across the region, the economic outlook in LA is now sunny. As Anita Bennett reports, the city is once again a major player in several key industries.
Since starting his term 2 years ago, Mayor Eric Garcetti says City Hall has helped raise LA's economic fortunes by cutting red tape and encouraging a more business-friendly climate.
Since becoming mayor, I've seen a 3% drop in unemployment, nearly 90,000 jobs, the fastest pace in about 10 years added to the economy, and just as impressive, over 50,000 new business and corporations in the city of Los Angeles.
The mayor touted those successes at the Valley Industry and Commerce Association's Business Forecast Luncheon in Universal City. Garcetti told attendees, unlike Chicago and other cities that have seen their populations shrink, people are actually flocking to LA and businesses booming in key industries like aerospace and Hollywood.
So with filming, we set about inspiring Sacramento to get a film tax credit that is more than tripled, which we just did a press conference last week on the set of American Horror Story Hotel. We saw in this first year of the tax credit, $1.07 billion of production come back to Los Angeles just in the first year. A record-breaking year, 54%.
Many residents and business owners have noticed those changes. Councilman Mitch Englander says.
I get overwhelmed because people actually take the time to send thank you letters now, and I get them almost daily. Somebody delivered a really nice bouquet of flowers to our office, a business the other day, saying, because of you, we were able to open on time, and we thought it was going to be another 6 months.
Adding to these successes, Mayor Garcetti says by working with local businesses, the city has been able to increase the number of youth summer jobs available from 5,000 to more than 12,000. In Universal City, I'm Anita Bennett for LA This Week.
The tech sector has also seen an explosion in growth. According to Mayor Garcetti, LA is now the #1 county for tech jobs in America, even outranking Santa Clara County, the heart of Silicon Valley. Well, Latino businesses are taking center stage on Hispanic Heritage Month as the second annual Hispanic Enterprise Business Summit kicks off. Ana Marcos was there.
Raul Morales is one of LA's small business success stories. A Mexican immigrant, he started his business, Taqueria Vista Hermosa, from scratch here at Mercado La Paloma. He cooks authentic Mexican food for his restaurant and his catering service.
It's very busy weekend, and Monday to Friday we have a school, delivery, office, USC, plus my customer in my restaurant.
Morales now has a new customer, the Hispanic Enterprise Business Summit, which is holding its annual event here. The event was created by the Vermont Slauson Economic Development Corporation, which encourages small businesses.
We also provide affordable housing. We do business development training. We develop shopping centers, and we offer space for small businesses to grow. The Hispanic community is one of the largest growing communities in Los Angeles, particularly in the business community.
The city of LA is a multi-billion-dollar economic engine, and only a small portion of that is going to local businesses.
This place, Mercado La Paloma, is an example of a successful Hispanic business model. About a dozen businesses, restaurants, arts and craft stores, even a seamstress do brisk business here, especially during breakfast and lunch. Meanwhile, the Hispanic Business Summit continues in one of the rooms here, providing entrepreneurs with access to financing, business planning, and more.
A big focus right now for the administration is on exporting, because the reality is that 95% of the world's customers live outside of the United States, but only 1% of U.S. businesses are exporting. So we want to make sure that more of our businesses are exporting. It's great for our economy, number one. Number two, Latino business owners have a wonderful advantage in that they have their feet in both cultures.
Right now, I got a manufacturer in Mexico. This manufacturer is for artisans.
Arts and crafts?
Arts and crafts. I think so. For good business, I sell cheap. You buy cheap for me.
Other tips: draw up a business plan and assemble a team that includes a mentor, a lawyer, an accountant, and a banker who gets your business. A plan and some capital balanced with sound business practices just might turn that dream into an American success story. I'm Ana Marcos for LA This Week.
The The Small Business Administration offers free advice and counseling on starting your own business. Visit them at sba.gov. Well, affordable housing and other programs could see a boost thanks to a $1 billion donation. As Gil Reyes reports, the grant coincides with a new study about community involvement.
One of the nation's most powerful charities promises to give in a big way.
We want to connect. We want to be part of something bigger.
The California Community Foundation promises to donate $1 billion to the city and county of Los Angeles. The payments to be spread out over 10 years. That's funding for early childhood education, health clinics, low-income housing, and the arts. That $1 billion announcement made here at LA's Huffington Center, where the California Community Foundation released the results of an eye-opening study. It said that 49% of poll respondents here in LA County would like to contribute more to their community, but simply don't have the time. And we're not talking monetary donations, but the cost-free giving of oneself through volunteering. The poll suggests nearly half of those polled want to volunteer but can't because they're simply too swamped. The poll sponsored by the California Community Foundation, the LA Times, and USC.
The sad confirmation of what I've already seen through my work, which is that because of traffic, because of so many commitments that people have, they would rather participate in online activism than actually going out and helping people or working with people.
The poll also found that most LA County residents don't trust local government, part of the reason why they're not participating in local elections. But LA Mayor Eric Garcetti cites another recent study conducted by Loyola Marymount University
that looks at the way people feel about city and county services, and that rose 15% this past year to a majority almost now of Angelenos who feel good about their government, which is, a pretty unique thing. We are still optimistic.
The whole notion is to demystify government. People just don't know what the hell is going on with these governmental structures. If we make them more clear, people will participate.
And possibly give more of what they can. In South LA, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Nearly 40% of respondents also say they would like to participate in more local government, but don't know how to get involved. Well, there's a new homeless encampment growing on South LA streets. Councilmember Kern Price is reaching out to those homeless residents through Homeless Connect Day. Anna Marcos takes us there.
Homeless Connect Day in South LA has some people dancing in the street. And why not? People are lining up for the free haircuts, health screenings, dental exams, the cell phone service, housing services, and more.
It feels better, good, This is just a labor of love. What it does is gives them a better outlook on themselves.
It was just one more step in the direction of, making them whole again and having them, be permanently housed and not looked at as, a piece of the property on the sidewalk.
Often it's the little things that matter, whether it's a nice haircut, some soap, conditioner, or deodorant. But this is also about the big things, like supportive housing, counseling, and HIV testing.
So I'm going to be conducting the test, and it's going to take 20 minutes to get you the results, okay?
Councilmember Kern Price and the Homeless Outreach Program in South LA have organized the event as they see a new tent city sprouting up here. There are almost 2,500 homeless people in this part of South LA, more than in any area except Skid Row.
I've been homeless for since February, and I've been staying different places with my daughter, sleeping in my truck.
Someone's like me. I'm homeless. I have my badge. I'm a veteran. I have my badge. I'm trying to get replaced, and it's just been a runaround, and that's, and it's not, and it shouldn't be like that.
Those are the individuals we're trying to reach out to, especially. Unfortunately, it's not just here in the 9th District, not just in South LA. It's a citywide disaster that we're attempting to deal with.
Meanwhile, Giovanni, fresh from his hair salon session, has scored some new clothes.
Pants, and shoes, and socks.
Why yellow shoes?
That's all they got,
First thing is, thank you, America. I'm from India, and I got a purple shoe. And I'm so happy to get a purple shoe because purple is the color of peacock, and our peacock is our national bird. So I'm so happy.
For some, that's reason enough to celebrate. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Dozens of homeless advocates and federal, state, and local agencies offered their services at the event. Well, he's one of the newest members on the LA City Council, and now Marqueece Harris Dawson is celebrating his first 100 days in office. Anita Bennett fills us in on what he's accomplished so far.
With a little mariachi music and a lot of excited residents, City Councilman Marqueece Harris Dawson kicked off a community celebration marking his first 100 days in office.
In 100 days, 107 alleys cleaned up completely. We've got some of them on the boards. 300 tons of trash picked up in 3 months.
Harris Dawson represents South LA, which includes Crenshaw, West Adams, and Lamert Park. During this recent gathering at Crenshaw High, he received a stamp of approval from Congresswoman Karen Bass.
This is just 100 days. I can't wait until we celebrate his first year in office and his first term in office, and I feel very confident that we are going to see the quality of life in the 8th District improve dramatically with Councilman Marqueece Harris Dawson.
And he was praised by Council President Herb Wesson for bringing a sense of camaraderie to City Hall.
This is the first time that the council members south of the 10 freeway get along. We love each other. We work together. We recognize that the things that you want, need, and expect, that we have to work together to ensure that you get them.
Harris Dawson's office has also launched a 311 campaign. It's meant to encourage residents to report problems like graffiti, and the community has responded.
Every month we've been in office, we've increased our calls by 2,000 or more every single month, so give yourselves a big round of applause.
Whatever he chooses to work on next, the councilman has already proven he wants to make city government more people-friendly for all residents. I'm Anita Bennett for LA This Week.
Councilman Harris Dawson also listened to ideas from residents on how to rebuild South Los Angeles. While firefighters rush to save students when an earthquake strikes a local school for the deaf. But it's only a drill, part of the Great Shakeout. As Gil Reyes reports, the hope is practice makes perfect.
These kids practice a drill that could save lives during a major quake. The catchphrase, drop, cover, and hold, reminds them to drop to the ground, take cover under a desk, and hold on till the shaking stops.
The practicing part of it, it might seem silly because we haven't had a major earthquake in so long, but if you don't practice, your instincts will take over when we do have an earthquake, and the instinct is to run, and that's the worst thing you can do. People are injured or killed running into or out of buildings.
Over here.
The group MySafe LA teams up with the LA City Fire Department for this earthquake drill at Marlton School for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. Adding to the challenge of rescuing kids with special needs, first responders worked under what's called a degraded mode, or limited resources. A skeleton crew is forced to respond quickly to problems throughout the entire campus.
Hey, can you hear me?
Some rooms there was a fire, some rooms kids were trapped. So an overall thing was just what would happen if there was a large earthquake.
It's all part of the Great Shakeout. Millions practicing similar drills in classrooms worldwide. Here at Marlton, students get to put on horror makeup and play it up for the cameras. Firefighters escort the injured to the school's field where one child is lost.
Red, is someone's missing? Get in the line for me, get in the line.
Better that mistakes happen now than during an actual emergency.
Are there lessons learned? Absolutely. Things we could do better next time? Absolutely. But overall, your Los Angeles Fire Department is completely prepared to handle even the most significant earthquake in the city.
In the Crenshaw District, Gil Reyes for LA This Week.
Similar shakeouts took place in several U.S. states this year, also in Canada, Italy, and Japan. Well, this is the mother of all beach cleanups. Once a year, people from around the world get to work tidying up our trashed beaches on Coastal Cleanup Day. Anna Marcos takes a look.
About a dozen or so volunteers are spending a sunny afternoon cleaning up what they love, our precious beaches. But the dozen volunteers are not alone. They are joined by 10,000 earth lovers all over California and more than 500,000 volunteers around the world for Coastal Cleanup Day.
I think the beach should be clean so people can come to the beach happy and not having to worry about their environment.
When you see someone cleaning up the beach, even though you're not cleaning up, it makes you think about your actions.
Heal the Bay is hosting 50 of the cleanup sites in the LA area, this one in Venice Beach. So what are the litter pickers finding most?
Cigarette butts.
Lots and lots of plastic.
Studies show that cigarette butts are indeed the litter most often found on beaches. But let's not leave out plastics. Plastics make up as much as 80% of the debris found floating in the ocean.
We were able to highlight and identify some problem plastics, namely plastic bags and styrofoam. And cigarette butts. And what we did with that information that all these volunteers collected was we put some legislation and some regulations in place.
Today, the earth and our oceans are left a little happier as volunteers at beaches around the world clean up the trash others have left behind.
Throw your hands up in the air like you just don't care. Now, do it.
I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
Heal the Bay, by the way, also holds local beach cleanups each month. While preserving a natural habitat in a popular Hollywood neighborhood, a multi-million-dollar investment that aims to connect LA communities and paying tribute to the Korean American culture. All these stories and more in City Beat. A fundraiser is underway to purchase 17 acres of open space wildlife habitat in Laurel Canyon for preservation and protection from potential development. Community groups have agreed to buy the land for $1.6 million if they can raise that amount. Once purchased, the groups plan to turn the land over to the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority. Council members Paul Koretz and David Rue were on hand at a press conference showing their support for the cause.
This is an opportunity that comes once in a lifetime. An opportunity to permanently preserve green space, protect the fundamental importance of wildlife habitats, and secure the future of our residential neighborhoods.
Mayor Eric Garcetti and County Supervisor Sheila Kuehl announced a joint investment of $6 million in the Los Angeles River Valley Greenway. The funding will make the project shovel-ready by enabling completion of design on 12 miles of gaps in its valley portion. Once completed, the Greenway will make it possible for Angelinos to walk and bike from Canoga Park to Elysian Valley. Mayor Eric Garcetti also made remarks recently at LA Trade Tech College for the final event of Hire LA's Youth, the city-county summer jobs program, which aims to connect at-risk youth with job opportunities in the city, county, and public sector. Over the summer, 11,000 citywide jobs were created for LA's youth, more than doubling the amount of previous years. The county created another 10,000.
20,000 young people who learn the skills that they will need to succeed, who built the resume that they can take to employers, who understand the workplace and financial literacy.
The Korean American community came out recently for the 42nd annual Los Angeles Korean Parade. Hundreds of parade participants waved U.S. and Korean flags and marched down Olympic Boulevard from Vermont to Western Avenue in celebration of Korean heritage and culture. Mayor Eric Garcetti joined the festivities along with Councilmember David Rue, who said the festival is a celebration of all immigrants.
It's an opportunity for the community, the Korean American community, to remember where we came from, all that we've achieved, and how much more we have to strive for.
Completing a process that began in 2009, 13th District Councilman Mitch O'Farrell joined recently with the Department of Recreation and Parks to welcome a brand new pocket park in Hollywood. Rich Samuels has the details.
It's a grand celebration in what was once one of the most park-poor places in the city.
You know, Hollywood was built up over the decades without really a concern or a thought at open space and parks. We need parks within walking distance of our communities, and Hollywood has a shortage of that. So we're changing that. one neighborhood at a time.
Built with community input during the design process, the 8,000 square foot park, located on Carlton Way, just west of Bronson Avenue, includes a children's playground, accessible picnic tables, porch swings, security lights, and drought-tolerant landscaping. Fitness stations are also part of the mix, offering something for parkgoers of all ages. Thanks to the city and partners including the Trust for Public Land, what used to be a vacant lot is now a community centerpiece.
Trust for Public Land believes that everybody should be within a 10-minute walk of a park or open space, and Hollywood is one of the densest areas, and there were no parks in this area.
No parks, that is, until now. This is Rich Samuels for LA This Week.
Carlton Way Park is the 32nd new park to open in the city of Los Angeles as part of the 50 Parks initiative. Well, a Halloween experience that puts you to the ultimate test. Day of the Dead celebrations continue, and a rain shower that won't get you wet. All this in this week's Things to Do. On Halloween, experience Alone, an ongoing, site-specific, fully immersive, and existential experience that explores the range of human emotions. Alone invites you to take a pulse-pounding solo journey that's one part interactive theater and one part psychological haunting. Set off on a terrifying 30-minute walkthrough experience that you must complete entirely on your own, with no friend to cling to and only a flashlight to keep you from total darkness. It's only you, in the dark, alone. Presenting itself in a variety of configurations, Alone explores the complex folds of the human psyche. Check it out on November 1st at 1141 Seward Street. For tickets, visit thealoneexperience.com. Boyle Heights Self-Help Graphics and Art has presented this Day of the Dead celebration for over 4 decades. The event begins at Mariachi Plaza, where a handful of theater groups lead an animated procession to Felicitas and Gonzalo Mendez High School, where you'll find local food and craft vendors. The event begins at 3 p.m. on Sunday, November 1st. For more, visit selfhelpgraphics.com. And it's raining, but you won't get wet. Random International's Rain Room is an immersive environment of perpetually falling water that pauses wherever a human body is detected. The installation offers visitors an opportunity to experience what is seemingly impossible, the ability to control rain. Rain Room presents a respite from everyday life and an opportunity for sensory reflection within a responsive relationship. Random International is a collaborative studio that uses science and technology to create experiences that aim to question and challenge the human experience with a machine-led world, engaging viewers through explorations of behavior and natural phenomena. Rain Room opens at LACMA on Sunday, November 1st on the ground floor of the Broad Contemporary Building. For more, visit lacma.org. And that's a look at some things to do. Well, that's going to do it for this edition. I'm Yana Kay, and from all of us here at LA This Week, thanks for joining us. A reminder that you can catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow and like us on Facebook. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
I'm Cindy, and I'm in Little Tokyo, and you're watching Channel 35, Your City, Your Channel.
call the members so that they can report to the council chambers. Good morning, good morning. Today is Tuesday, October 27th. I want to welcome you to your Los Angeles City Council meeting. This council meets every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. The public is welcome. Madam Clerk, I believe we have a quorum. Could you please call the roll?
Reyno, Cedillo, Ingwinder, Fuentes, Harris, Dawson, Weezer, Caress, Krikorian, Martinez, O'Farrell, Price, Rue, Weston, 11 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Okay, first order of business.
Approval of the minutes.
Price moves, Corretz seconds. Next.
Committed to resolutions for approval.
Bonin moves, Buscaino seconds. That brings us where?
Mr. President, today is Tuesday. Now be the time for the flag salute.
Okay, I'm going to ask that we all rise, and we'll make a request that Mr. Harris Dawson lead us in the flag salute.
Everybody stand and face the flag. Place your right hand over your heart and begin the Pledge of Allegiance now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to its republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 3 months.
Thank you, Mr. Harris Dawson. Well done. If we could go through the agenda at this time, Madam Clerk.
Mr. President, before we run through the agenda, there's a request to continue items 1R and Y to November 10th and item 9 to November 18th.
Okay, without objection, that'll be the order. Next.
Items 1 through 3 are items noticed for public hearing. The Department of Building and Safety reports that item 1B, E, H, I, K, and M may be received and filed inasmuch as the liens have been paid. Also, there's a request to reduce the lien amount for item 1Q to $932.40.
Okay, without objection, that'll be the order.
And there are cards on that item. Actually, cards on items 1 through 3.
Okay, let's move on to the next set of items.
Items 4 through 13 are items for which public hearings have been held. There's a request to hold item 5 on the desk.
Okay, we shall do that. Members, Mr. Corretz.
I'd like to call item 6 special as well.
We'll hold 6 for Mr. Corretz. Members, any others? Let's prepare to vote on the remaining. Let us open the roll, Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
Okay, that brings us where, Madam Clerk?
Items 14 through 18 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Okay, so without objection, those items are now before this body. Do we have cards?
Yes, cards on items 14 and 15.
Let's hold those items. And members, any specials on the remaining?
And Mr. President, there's a
Yes.
request to hold item 16 for a motion.
Okay, then let's do that. Let's prepare to vote on what remains. Let's open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That brings us where?
Item 19 is a closed session item. Do you wish to hold that on the desk?
I'm going to look over towards the Budget and Finance Chair, Mr. Paul Krikorian, for a little guidance on this item.
Yeah, this card.
Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. This matter's been considered by Budget and Finance, and it can be considered an open session unless members have questions or concerns.
Okay, do we have any cards?
A public hearing was held in Budget and Finance yesterday.
Fine. Let us, why don't you read the item, and then we'll prepare to vote.
In the cases entitled In Re Pacifica of the Valley Corporation and City of Los Angeles versus Pacifica of the Valley Corporation, the recommendation is to authorize the city attorney to accept the proposed settlement offer in the amount of $3,117,404.25.
Okay, Lynn, let's, yes, Mr. Krikorian.
Just for the sake of the record, so that members know, this is a receipt of over $3 million by the city in this settlement, rather than an expenditure.
Maybe we should vote on it quickly before something changes. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay.
And Mr. President, there's a request to send that item forthwith.
Without objection, that'll be the order.
On the supplemental agenda, items 20 and 21 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
So without objection, those items are now before this body. Do you have cards?
Yes, cards on item 20.
Okay, let's hold 20. Mr. Weezar, you wanted to hold 20 as well? Okay, let's vote on the remaining item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That brings us where?
Mr. President, that brings council to presentations or items called special.
Mr. Bonnet.
Mr. President, could we move item 18B forthwith, please?
Oh, without objection.
Thank you.
Let's move to item 15 quickly. Mr. Walsh, I think you did call item 15 special. Mr. Walsh, item 15.
Thank you, John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. This is the REAP account. Remember, they don't tell you, but if you have any, these are violations that the landlord was guilty of and that now he hasn't repaired in the units. Now, as a result, the landlord's not getting the rent anymore. The city's getting the rent. Rent escrow account program. So this is an excellent program, and we're 100% in favor of it. Get your clock fixed.
Okay, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, I'm going to look to Mr. Harris Dawson and Mr. Price for a presentation. The floor is yours, gentlemen.
Thank you so much, Mr. President, and I'm proud to be joined by Councilmember Curran Price. I'm going to ask the men and women of the 77th Division family to join me up here at the dais with our honoree in front. He and his wife, Cheryl. We're here today to honor Mike Shea. He comes to us, a veteran from the state of Massachusetts, settled in California back in 1969, attended the great Carson High School, worked at the Long Beach Naval Shipyard, and went to Dominguez Hills, Councilmember Buscaino, and got his Bachelor of Science in Public Administration. He spent 14 years there before he entered a career in law enforcement. In 2000, he met his lovely wife, Cheryl, and they got married on October 9th, 2005, and she's here in the lovely blue dress. They have 2 children, Jeff, who is 30, and Stephanie, who is 25. All-around fun guy who loves eating tacos by train tracks, corn off carts, and hanging out with family and friends by the river. Yeah, they told it all, Mike, in this document. He entered the Los Angeles Police Academy in 1970. He was assigned to Southeast as a probationer and then willed to 77th Division in 1989. While assigned at 77, he worked a variety of assignments, including South Bureau Narcotics and the Special Problems Unit. He was promoted to the position of training officer in 1993 and his current position in 1977 as one of our senior lead officer. Mike has worked basic car 12A49 for the majority of his career and spearheaded noteworthy projects like the Figueroa Corridor Project, helped us move the Mount Carmel Recreational Center, never missed Saturday Night Lights events or Summer Night Lights events, and his motto has always been, I do it for the kids. One thing I read that I really loved about Mike, if you had the misfortune of getting arrested by him, he was known for dropping by your favorite food joint and buying you a meal before you got booked. And so we are just here to appreciate him today. He spent almost his entire career in the 77th Division and dedicated over 25 years to our community and has become a part of our community. And he is loved from corner to corner. And you're one of the officers that people actually ask me, have I met? Now that I've gotten elected, they say, well, have you met Mike? And so we're here to honor him. I want to let Councilman Price say a few words and then hear from Mike.
Thank you, Mr. President, Councilman. It's really an honor for the citizens and friends in District 9 to join Councilman Marcus Harris Dawson and the citizens in District 8 in recognizing Mike Shea. By the very nature of his profession, Mike is a hero, putting his life on the line for others day in and day out. While Officer Mike has fought crime for nearly 3 decades with LAPD, his toughest opponent to date hasn't been a real-life criminal, but rather lung cancer. Officer Mike, I speak on behalf of myself, my colleagues, and our city. We want you to win this battle. That's right. Again. The kids need you. South LA needs you. Your brothers and sisters in blue need you. Your wife needs you. We all need you. You remain a beacon of light in one of those most troubled and sometimes darkest areas. You're a man of tremendous courage and strength who has never run away from a bad situation. You're a survivor in many ways. For those of you who don't know, this isn't Mike's first battle with cancer. He underwent a successful surgery last year, and he's getting ready to undergo another procedure next week. While most people would throw up their hands in the air, you come to work with a smile, continue to participate in community activities, and touch the lives of everyone you come in contact with, Mike, and we love you for it. You are a real-life hero. We look forward to seeing you back here in Chambers again soon. I hope so. With the great news of your victory. Thank you, Mike. We love you.
Mr. Mike, before we get started, I do have another speaker on the queue. I think it would be appropriate to call on Mr. Joe Buscaino at this time.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's great to see my extended family, the senior lead officers from 77th, here to honor Mike Shea, who has just been a champion in South Los Angeles. Mike We have worked together on key initiatives, empowering our youth in our communities, embracing a concept called Teen CPAB, using teenagers to problem solve in our community. As we know, senior lead officers, they are the mentors in our communities, the doctors, the lawyers, the council members, the mayors in our communities that we serve. Mike, your service to South Los Angeles and the people of CD 8 and 9 is just unwavering, and we are here to show our love, honor you, respect you, and remind ourselves that the work that you've done in our community goes unnoticed. And this little stumbling block that is before you, this little challenge and this fight with cancer, we know you will overcome. And I know you will overcome this battle because of your loving wife that stands with you, the men and women of the Los Angeles Police Department, and most importantly, the community who adores you and loves you and will walk with you throughout this challenge as you overcome this illness. So we love you, we honor you, and we thank you for what you continue to do for our council, the Council Districts 8 and 9, and the entire 77th Command. God bless you. We love you, Mike.
Thank you. Well said, Mr. Buscaino. Sir, the floor is yours.
I'm overwhelmed. The service part, it didn't feel like I was working. This was such a family issue. I always felt like it was good to come to work. I enjoyed coming to work. I found a home at 77th. I never found a reason to leave. And my peers, we've all been in one division over 20 years. It's more than work. It's family. I've met people in the community I've gone to lunch, I've gone to dinner with, I've gone on vacations with. And my current situation, sir, it was very difficult, and I can honestly say without the benefit of my extended family and truly the love I feel here, it was overwhelming. And I'm sure I'll do well. And I have always enjoyed the work, and I do feel that I am represented, and also the folks in the community have always said thank you to me. I've never felt unappreciated by most of the people I've served. Thank you.
So we have an opportunity to show our thanks in a couple of ways. First, on behalf of the Mayor of Los Angeles and all the members of the Los Angeles City Council, we have a resolution here in your honor. So we ask you to accept that and put that up on the wall. And we want you to prepare to come back, because we're going to have an even bigger party when you get back to work out the rest of your time, and we get to have a retirement party for you.
I would like that.
So there is another way that we can help. Mike and his colleagues behind me have set up a GoFundMe page. The page has a goal of raising $50,000. It's gofundme.com/B as in boy 35Q M G as in Gator BB. Again, gofundme.com B35QMGBB. You can go there and avail yourselves of an opportunity to help in a material way. And so I ask that the entire council and chamber give Mike Shea, his family, and his 77th Division family a big round of applause and a send-off with our love.
Mr. Englander.
Mr. President and colleagues, we have some very, very special guests here with us tonight. And I want to say today with the 5th grade class of Chatsworth Hills Academy, can you all stand up, be recognized? Our future leaders here of the city of Los Angeles. They're here to learn about...
Wave, guys, you're on television.
They're here
Look
to
up,
learn about local government, and they're with their 5th grade teacher, Pam Green, and CHA principal, Mr. C. Special shout out also to Jada Lee, my chief of staff's daughter, who's also here. And I want to welcome our 5th grade class here to City Hall. Hi, guys. Thanks so much for coming. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. All right, welcome, young folk. Welcome. Wave one more time. Everybody wave so your mothers and grandfathers and grandmoms and brothers, sisters can see you. Anyway, welcome. Let's, Mr. Koretz, we're going to move to item 6. We are having difficulty with our time clock. We're going to move to item 6, Paul, in hopes that the clock in the center aisle can be fixed. The one at the clerk's desk does work. So with that said, Mr. Koretz, we're going to defer to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to comment briefly on LAWA's contention in rejecting the RSAC appeal that allowing TNCs into LAX is generally a wash in terms of auto trips coming into the central terminal area. They calculate that this will cannibalize private auto and taxi trips, not shuttle van or bus or other public transit trips. I would challenge that conclusion. I think that if Uber and Lyft's main selling point is its convenience and low price, it's hard not to imagine them cannibalizing trips now taken by Super Shuttle and Flyaway, etc. And with the massive public investment we're talking about in creating a rail linkage to LAX that will involve one or more transfers and waiting at stations and schlepping baggage, it's hard to imagine that TNCs not reducing projected trips from that modality as well, thus rendering the investment more questionable. And during the early stages of planning the light rail linkage, before any of us had even heard of TNCs, the most optimistic ridership estimates for that line was no more than 1 or 2% of all LAX passengers and workers. So while riding the light rail was would be considerably less expensive than a TNC fare, it will only be easily accessible to a small portion of the traveling public that has both good access to the rail system and the ability to deal with the lack of convenience. There's also the typical stigma of using public transit that already discourages many non-transit dependent travelers from riding. And so I believe that Uber and Lyft will actually harm LAX's environment and other transportation infrastructure by virtue of the TNC success, and to the extent that it might introduce more cars into the central terminal area and thus contribute to congestion and air pollution and cannibalize other public modalities. That is how I believe it would do it, and for that reason I'm going to vote against this item.
Mr. Bloomingfield.
This is not.
Well, we're having a little technical difficulty.
Are we on now? Okay.
Yes, you're on.
Great. Great respect for my colleagues' opinions. The vote today is not to relitigate the TNC issue at all. We had that discussion. We had that vote. This is really about a CEQA appeal. And I contend that on this CEQA question, there have been multiple NELAs, many thousands of NELAs that have come before the airport. None of them have triggered a CEQA response or this kind of action. They've been able to show a negative declaration for all of those. This is no different than any of the other NELAs that they have, especially the other NELAs with other transportation folks, other transportation providers. So my contention is that we, regardless of how you feel about the TNCs coming to the airport, it is my belief that this CEQA appeal is without merit, and it should be with, like all of the other appeals that happen on NELAs, and we should reject it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bloomingfield. Mr. Bonin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I rise to support the committee action and Mr. Blumenfield's recommendation. As I noted in committee, it's a particularly awkward situation for me when I'm on the other side of an issue from my friends and supporters in RSAC. Good to see you, Danny. I think this is the first time in 20 years where we've disagreed on an issue. I think that the work that the airport has done on the TNCs was incredibly thorough, and I think that it's important that we move forward with the committee recommendation today and continue this. It's particularly important for me that we do this and get this started, because right now my neighborhoods around the airport are seeing lots of Uber and Lyft vehicles in the neighborhoods that are parking in the central business district and around their homes. This actually solves that problem by allowing a geofence to be created where those cars won't be able to receive signals, and so there'll be no incentive for them to stay in the neighborhood. So for me, this is about protecting the neighborhoods, and it's also about the integrity of the process, which I thought was pretty sound with the Board of Airport Commissioners. So I'd ask that we approve the committee recommendation. Thank you.
Okay, no more speakers. Let us prepare to vote on this item. Madam Clerk, if you would open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes, 2 noes.
Thank you. So
And
now
that is adopted.
Okay, so we will move forward even though our time clock at the center aisle is broken. The clock manned by the clerk is still working. So when you're called forward to speak, I will let you know when you have like a minute left, and we'll do our very best to get through this, even though the clock at the center aisle is not working. So we're going to go to item 16, and that was called special by Mr. Spindler. If you would come forward on item 16.
There is no clock here. So, Hickla Digla Mikla relative to the increased funding for CoreLogic. There's no time here. I'll speak for 20 minutes then.
Stay on the topic.
Okay, so $125,000 for a contract amount of $515,000. How can $125,000 equal a $515,000? Even a pig knows that it is not the right math. You must take this back and use a calculator. You do not have a clock that works. You do not have computer. I will let you borrow my calculator.
Okay, you're off topic. Thank you, Mr. Spindler. Okay, members, let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll. In fact, I make a motion on this, and the motion is to accept the CAO's, move the CAO's report, second by Mr. Price. So let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
And there's a request to send that item forthwith, Mr. President.
Okay, without objection, that will be the order. Okay, we're going to go to item 5. I'm going to start off by calling on, unless Mr. Krikorian, I'm going to defer to the chair to begin. We're doing item 5. So I will call on Mr. Englander.
Much, Mr. President. Let me first start off before we talk about the specific item on safe storage and what it means by thanking our colleague, Councilmember Paul Krikorian. He has really, truly been a leader in common sense solutions and protecting those that can't protect themselves, but most importantly on gun violence, both in the legislature and here in the city of Los Angeles. There are many that say, rights are being taken away with safe storage. The men and women of the Los Angeles Police Department and the Los Angeles Police Protective League, which represents them, the organization that represents them, are fully on board with safe storage, as am I. In fact, having lost a family member to gun violence, I know firsthand the dramatic impact it has on families, and it's one of the reasons that motivated me to a life of public service. And as a Los Angeles Reserve police officer, I firmly believe that this legislation is necessary to protect our community and our children, which is why it has my full support. On top of that, and I've talked to many out there in the community that say, well, it's going to take those extra few seconds or minutes with a gun lock. The truth is, today, with the technology that exists and biometric safes that literally you can put your hand on in the dark that recognizes your fingerprints, off the shelf and things you can buy that's readily and immediately available to lock up your gun is the responsible thing to do. It quite frankly doesn't make a lot of sense not to. And so I just wanted to stand up and thank Mr. Krikorian's leadership on this and urge all of you to support this as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Englander. Mr. Krikorian?
Very much, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Englander, for those words and for your guidance and help in the Public Safety Committee in bringing this matter to the floor. Before we begin debate on this issue, members, I'd like us to understand the context of the issue that we're discussing today. And to help us with that, I'd like to show a brief public service announcement that was prepared by the Ad Council. If we
go right ahead.
If you store your guns properly, so not just anyone can get to them. I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
I won't have to tell so many family members. I'm sorry.
I won't hear as many scary stories or scary news reports.
I won't have to hold someone's hand and shout you're gonna make it.
And I won't have to tell my kids this isn't a drill.
Please.
Please.
Please. Please.
Please.
Do it for us.
For us. Do it for us.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. If you own a firearm and are not using it, please be responsible and be sure that it's stored in a safe place. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org.
Members, we just had a presentation of some of our brave men and women of the Los Angeles Police Department. And we know that every day when they get up and go to work, the men and women of the Los Angeles Police Department and their brothers and sisters in law enforcement throughout our country put their lives on the line. They go out, they confront hardened criminals, they deal with situations of domestic violence, they deal with some of the most dangerous situations that our country presents. And we will do anything as a council, as most policymakers throughout our country will, to make sure that our police officers are safer, because we know the dangers of their job and we know how heroic they are in putting their lives at risk. So members, it may come as a surprise to you that more preschoolers are killed with guns every year than police officers. It's unacceptable to live in a country where it's more dangerous to be a preschooler than to be a police officer. And we can do something about that today. We can once and for all mandate that people who own guns, people who have guns in their homes for safety, just exercise the basic common sense safe storage measures that even the National Rifle Association recommends. So if you want to have a gun in your home, if you want to make that choice, if you think that your responsibility to protect your family involves keeping a gun at home, I might argue with that decision. But if you want to make that decision and you feel that's how you want to keep your family safe, lock it up, keep it unloaded, and make sure that it's safely stored. That's what this ordinance calls for. In 2015, 216 children under the age of 18 were accidentally killed or injured by someone's firearms. Most of those accidents happen in their own home or in the home of a friend because the firearm was not properly stored. We know, too, that unlocked firearms make suicide risk 17 times greater than it is in homes without an unlocked firearm. 75% of the guns used in youth suicide attempts and unintentional injuries were stored in the home of the victim themselves or a relative of a friend, and almost all of them were unsafely stored. In 2010, 20,000 people killed themselves with firearms. 20,000 people. How many of those deaths would have been avoided if that firearm were simply safely stored, locked away, so that a moment of temporary angst or depression by a teenager struggling with bullying or struggling with a challenge in their life didn't have the ready accessibility of that unlocked, loaded firearm? And I'll say this, if someone wants to keep a firearm at home for self-defense and they have children at home, if you think that hiding that gun in your closet on the top shelf is a way to keep that away from your kids, I've got news for you. 75% of the nearly 2 million children who live right now in a home that has an unlocked, loaded firearm, 75% of those children, when they were surveyed, could tell the surveyor where the family keeps the firearm. So if you think you're not exposing your kids to risk by hiding it away, I've got news for you. That's not right. If you want to defend yourself by the extraordinarily rare occurrence of a home invasion, you're much better able to defend yourself with a firearm that is loaded but safely stored, or that has its ammunition nearby but the firearm is locked, than you would be hunting for your gun hidden up in the top of the closet someplace. So even the argument of self-defense doesn't really it doesn't hold water when you think about the ease in which a safely stored firearm, as Mr. Englander correctly pointed out, somebody who knows how to use a firearm. Mr. Englander has been trained in this. As he points out correctly, it's much easier to gain access to a firearm for self-defense when it's been safely stored and locked than it would be if it's been hidden away someplace. So this ordinance does a few simple things. It just simply requires that if you make that choice, if you're going to keep a firearm in your home, lock it, or keep it in a locked container. If you don't want to lock it or keep it in a storage container, keep it on your person. If you don't want to keep it on your person, keep it within close enough proximity to you so that you can prohibit others from gaining access to it. This is as simple a requirement of safe storage as it can be. This is not going to inconvenience a single person in our city, but it is going to save lives. So I respectfully ask for your aye vote on this, and I also very much want to thank all of you who've joined in this effort. I mentioned Mr. Englander and his chairmanship of public safety. I also want to thank co-authors on this, Mr. Price, Mr. Parks, Mr. Cedillo, Mr. Blumenfield, Mr. Kretz, and Mr. O'Farrell, and all of you who've supported this in committee and otherwise. I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Root.
Thank you, Councilmember Paul Krikorian, for your leadership on this issue, and thank you, Councilmember Englander, for your leadership in public safety. Our first priority is to protect the public health and safety. Thousands of children die each year by accidental or suicidal deaths from guns that aren't stored properly. Any unintended weapons getting picked up by a child or untrained person is not worth the risk of death. But the reality is that even one death, one child, one life cut short is a price too high for all of us to pay. We must pass this ordinance today, so we can create safer neighborhoods in Los Angeles tomorrow. I urge for an aye vote. Thank you.
Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I too want to thank Mr. Krikorian for all his good work, not only on this, but on many gun control items that we've worked on together at times over many, many, many years. I only stand just because I think I can shed a little bit of light on the suicide element of this, just because of a passing conversation that I happened to have overheard a number of years ago when I worked for an environmental group that often had their meetings with their main headquarters in San Francisco. So I overheard a conversation in an elevator where a friend was telling his other friend that he was going to a meeting of his support group. And it was a support group of people that had jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and survived. Very interesting. And he said that the one thing they all thought when they jumped off was, oh my God, why did I do this? This was a big mistake. And I think it points out the fact that suicide is often an act of the moment, and 10 seconds later you might regret it. And that's probably why so many people survive suicides with drugs and other things, because there's often an ambivalence towards that. But if you have a gun, there's no ambivalence. It's there at the right time, and there's no chance of survival, or certainly very unlikely. This is an opportunity that we should be sure we can take away from the people that currently are taking advantage of that easy access to guns to commit suicide in a situation where they well may have let that moment pass otherwise. So I think this is a very important measure for all the reasons that Mr. Krikorian outlined, but that one in particular.
I thought that was well said. Mr. Koretz made people think. Mr. Englander?
Great, thank you. I also want to thank Councilwoman Nuri Martinez, Mr. Krikorian, and committee. She added some language to make it even more responsible and responsive, and I wanted to thank you for that as well, and I really appreciate that. For those out there who don't listen to the entire conversation and debate, for those out there that are not following this issue, that have guns at home, and that think that this is further taking a right away, I think Mr. Krikorian really said it best. And it's really about having controlled access and securing that weapon. This is less about gun control and simply more about controlling your gun. It's really that simple. That's what this legislation does. And so with that, I thank you again and ask for your aye vote.
Okay, thank you. Okay, before we vote, I want to indicate that the public comment on this has been satisfied through the committee process. But, Mr. City Attorney, what I want to do, I want to call up a few people. It'll be 1 minute each. So I'm just going to, yeah. And that would be Lori Saffron, Kevin Key, Geraldine Stapleton, Princess Jenkins, and Rhonda Foster. And I close the hearing after those people. So if I've called your name, please come up and identify yourself. 1 minute each, Madam Clerk. Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Lori Safian. I'm president of Women Against Gun Violence. About 15 years ago, I was sitting in my apartment, and when my downstairs neighbor decided he wanted to show off his gun to a friend, it was unlocked and it was loaded, and the bullet was discharged and came into my apartment and landed about 10 feet from where I was. When the police arrived, they told me I was lucky. I knew I was, and as we all know, tragically, so many aren't. It is time to enforce the mandate of locking up your guns through law. The time has come. I am tired, and I know you all are too, of reading about grieving parents who have lost their children through unintentional and totally preventable shootings. They're blaming themselves because they didn't ask about a gun. It's not their fault. We need to hold gun owners responsible. They need to lock up their guns. Thank you, Councilmember Krikorian and City Council for taking life-saving.
Thank you. Could if I have our next speaker come forward and please identify yourself? Please.
Good morning. Geraldine Stapleton, President of California National Organization for Women, and I also serve as Councilman Rue's alternate rep to the Domestic Violence Task Force. We want to speak in very strong support of this motion. Any prevention that can be put into place for the safety of women and especially children we really strongly support. On a personal note, my younger brother almost lost his life in a situation where the gun was not locked up, and the person who owned the gun was not even on the premises at the time. Instead, the widow's young son was the one that ended up losing his life. So I really want to stress the importance of passing this measure. And I do have a concern that I'll talk another time about. Thank you.
Thank you. Please come forward and identify yourself.
Prentice Jenkins. I'm activist since 1991. Publisher of City Life newsletter. I'm in favor of this ordinance because it will save lives. I do remember my parents asked me to go get something in their room. I can't believe they let me in their room because they knew what a little pilferer I was. And I got to their room, went into the closet, saw a shotgun, took it out, looked down the barrel. I was 10 years old, 1969. You know how tragic that could have been? Very tragic. I wouldn't be here talking to you today. But that's what children do. They don't know any better. And the question is, you're talking about locking up handguns. Are you going to lock up shotguns, rifles? They need to be locked up too. If that gun had gone off, I wouldn't be talking to you here today.
Thank you, sir. Next, please.
Good morning. My name is Rhonda Foster, and I am with Women Against Gun Violence, and I strongly support this ordinance as well. I also wanted to speak to the Prohibition 2 and 3 as far as reconsidering that our homes are our sanctuary, our safe haven, and walking around armed with your gun, that leaves room for accidents as well as having it in close proximity. That's ambiguous.
We're fine where it is.
That statement is. Essentially, a gun is a lethal, deadly, life-taking, life-maiming instrument. And that is what it is, and as a result of that, it needs to be locked up for the safety of family. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you Mr. Key?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good morning. My name is Kevin Michael Key. I'm here as a member of the Los Angeles Drug and Alcohol Policy Alliance, not to lobby, but for educational purposes only. Thank you to Councilmember Krikorian and to all of you for championing public safety on our streets and in our homes. If this ordinance saves one life, if one life is saved, a family will be eternally grateful. We at LA DAPA believe that many lives will be saved and our city will be eternally grateful. Each year in the United States, more than 15,000 children and teens are killed or injured with a gun. An unlocked gun is likely to increase the risk of suicide by 17%. The state storage law is a no-brainer when it comes to preventing the tragic consequences of an unsecured firearm. So we urge the City of Los Angeles and you to continue its leadership in pushing sensible measures to prevent gun violence. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's now prepare to vote on this item. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Thank you. Good work, Mr. Krikorian, Mr. Englander. Good committee work. Let's forthwith. So let's move forward now. Mr. Weezar, it's my understanding, was it 20?
20, please. Yes.
Okay, so we're going to take that up now. I have some cards.
Cards first, please. Thanks.
Okay, Mr. Walsh, Mr. Spindler, and McAllister. Ms. McAllister. Item 20.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. Relative to the winter shelter program, We estimate, and people in Skid Row estimate, that the coming winter will result in between 30 and 40 homeless people dying. We're not interested in a shelter. We're interested in homes. This is money handed out to poverty pimps, First to Serve Incorporated, Love Center. All your friends are getting $1,300,000 of money down the drain. We need homes.
This is nothing more than a poverty pimp. Money for the poverty pimp. $1.3 million giveaway for all of your friends. Look at this. Testimonial Community Love Center. It should be free. Look at this. First to serve. All these areas, look at the zip code. What about 90210? What about the Beverly Hills? For $1,300,000, you should put them up in Beverly Hills with caviar. You're putting these people in the ghetto for $1,300,000? This is a fucking ripoff. This is not good money. Put them up at the JW Marriott for $1,300,000. Put them up in the JW Marriott.
Okay, Ms. McAllister.
Good morning, everyone. I also oppose this, especially the Pathways to Your Future at 6900 Southwestern Avenue. They also have a shelter at 38th and Broadway. And it is a known fact that they make the people there save their money and give it to them. And they ask for cash. Now, it's hard to track cash to say that you've given someone cash. But anyway, they do that. They also tell the people if they save up to $1,300, they'll help them find affordable housing. Well, they don't do that. They make people stay there a year or so, and they keep giving their money, and I'm still trying to figure out what they're doing with that money because they can't cash those money orders. But I think what they're doing is using it as collateral to get money elsewhere from the banks. So there's got to be some kind of con game going on. I think that's the con game. I've also been told by some of the women that they have to sleep with some of the staff in order to get housing. So we need to investigate these shelters. These shelters are being used by the staff, and I believe some of the public officials have money funneled to them from these funds that come into the shelters. Also, these shelters will throw people out on the street at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. One man died of a heart attack. They don't care if the women are raped, killed, or whatever. We need to monitor these shelters. Also, staff, they steal clothing. They have closets full of clothing they won't give to the homeless. They don't give them to the homeless. They take them home. People can come in there almost naked. They may give them a pair of pants or a dress or something. We need monitoring of these shelters. We need not just LAHSA. We need a group or some kind of panel where they go and visit them every 6 months to check the books, to check the clothing, to talk to the women and the people to see how they're being treated. I agree with the former speaker. We need housing. We don't need shelters. And I'll get more into that later. Thank you.
Okay, let us now I want to defer to Mr. Huizar, to you.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to thank Councilmember Bonin and the co-chair of the Homelessness Committee, Harris Dawson, for the continuing mentioning and working on us moving this forward. And as you all know, colleagues, we are facing the prospect of a very wet winter with El Nino just around the corner. And although this will be great for the drought, this certainly will create more suffering for our homeless population. The Homelessness and Poverty Committee originally waived this item to ensure that it could be heard as quickly as possible. And I also want to thank the CLA and CAO staff for making sure we aligned our financial status report and this motion so that we can act as quickly as possible. I also want to thank LASA for helping us respond quickly, and the county for also seeking to extend the winter shelter programs in parts of the county outside of the city, and we are collaborating and working with them on making that possible. And of course, even as the public mentioned, we have much more to do in the area of homelessness. A little bit of winter shelter funding is certainly not enough, but it's important. And let's be honest, we don't have enough money for shelters or long-term housing at this time. The $100 million that we declared will help as we put together a plan on how to implement that. And during this heavy winter of rains, we could expect many of our homeless to go into our public areas, such as libraries, our parks, and other facilities, and we have to do more to accommodate those public areas to be able to accommodate homelessness and not homeless individuals and not just chase them away. We also need to look for opportunities to not just extend the days and hours of the winter shelter program, but we need to look for opportunities to expand shelter to more locations and to include more beds throughout the city and not just in the areas that we have historically put them in. So colleagues, this is a very important step, a very good one, but I think the focus that this council has these days on this issue, we're going to see a real dent in it, but we must do more than just this one item here today. I urge for an aye vote on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weezer. Let us prepare to vote. Madam Clerk, if you'd open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, that is approved. Why don't we move now to item 14, I believe called special by cards. Mr. Spindler, followed by Mr. Walsh. Item 14.
Okay, the pig didn't want to talk about this, but the Department of Water and Power is a criminal organization, and they should not have the right to buy their own gas. In the committee before, there were a couple of council people here, which they're hiding, that were pretty much against this idea. They weren't very confident that there were safeguards, and they were not confident in giving Marcy Edwards the right to buy gas without the continued price limit descriptions and oversight. Recently, they just raised our rates 4% behind our backs. This is not a trustworthy agency. The last thing you need to do is give these people any more power. They need to be reined in. This is a very faulty position to take, and vote no on item 14.
Okay, Mr. Walsh.
As Mr. Walsh comes up with his indulgence, I also want to acknowledge a very special visitor here with us today, Assemblymember Phil Ting, who's here visiting the chambers and
where is he?
Collaborating with us on state, local issues. Welcome, Mr. Ting, to the council chambers. Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. Mr. Walsh.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org, or J. Walsh Confidential, tweeting at Hollywood Dems. More DWPP. The DWPP, wait a second. They need to buy gas? Where are they going to buy it? You're just giving them a blank check to buy gas. Who are they going to buy this gas from? You know, this whole gas deal with DWP, and incidentally, they raised our rates 4% behind our back. You heard that from the puppet. I'm telling you right now, the DWPP are a bunch of pricks. That's why they're called the DWPP. And we're asking you now, what is this deal with gas? It smells to high heaven. You know, we've got, the DWP is absolute bandits. HollywoodHighlands.org.
All right, let's prepare to vote on this item. Madam Clerk, open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, we're going to move to item 3. Mr. Walsh, please come on back. So if I can get Mr. Walsh, Mr. Hunt, and Mr. Spindler.
John Walsh, you know where to find me. This concerns bicycle parking device on a parking meter stand. An exemption for bicycles. You know, if Jesus Christ came back to earth, the limp-dick liberals would expect him to be on a bicycle. There is nothing more politically correct than a bicycle, except an old lady hit by a bicycle. These bicycles are out of control. Ladies and gentlemen, the bicycles do not belong at parking meters. They belong in the road. 98% of the bicycles are running over people on the sidewalk. But bicycle people are allowed to do any damn thing they want. This parking meter stand, this approved parking device, I'm tired of the bicycles. Go to bicycle hell.
Thank you. Okay, so what is it? Mr. Hunt, I think, is next. Okay, if nobody wants to come and speak, I called names, you're not there. Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, let's move on to item 1. Item 1, Mr. Walsh on item 1. John Walsh on item 1. Patricia Taylor, item 1. Cam B or Cam By on item 1. Stephanie Mines, maybe, on item 1. Please come forward.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. When you do a good job, I'm the first to congratulate you. And building and safety, these are nuisance abatement costs. We tell everyone, come up here, challenge the abatement, and you will get a sizable discount. Nobody comes back a second time when you tell them to go over there and talk to their city councilman, because the abatements are too high. And when anybody protests this, and anybody who watches the city council knows, when these liens are too high, although many of them are justified, and when they come up here and complain, the lien gets reduced. Because most of these people who own property here, they're not rich people, they're not nasty landlords, they're just people who own property. HollywoodHighlands.org.
Okay, was it Miss Taylor? If I called your name, just come forward. Stephanie, come forward. I think this is Cam By. Please come forward. Yes, identify yourself.
Yes, Stephanie Mines. Yes, thank you. I'd like to request a 30-day extension on this matter. I had just gotten notice, and I'm not quite sure of this. So I'd like a 30-day extension to be able to look into this matter.
Okay, what was that address again, Miss Mines?
Yes, 8823 West Riderwood Drive in Los Angeles.
Okay, why don't you give us a moment? I'll let you know what I find out on that. Let's listen to the other speakers. So, let's see. I have a Nelita Lopez. Still looking for Miss or Mr. Cam Bay or Cam By.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to request more time to resolve my situation.
And that is what address?
412 East 106th Street, Los Angeles, 9003.
Okay, would you?
Yes, sir. My name is Cambosh.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. I'm for the property 8150 Foothill Boulevard. And they issue some kind of citation for somebody selling some food over there. That's empty property. I don't know who was there. I never allowed anybody there.
Could you repeat your concern?
My concern, this is my property. It was empty lot. And they issue some kind of citation there to somebody whoever was there. And I don't know why they're putting on my property. But it is empty lot.
Okay, well, we'll ask you. I need to get a... Just hold tight. Maybe you could just sit to the side. We'll try to get some answers.
Okay.
I just want to listen to all of the speakers now. Miss Winegran, please come forward.
Yes, my name is Mrs. Wygand, and I'm for 13840 Bessemer. Your Honor, here I have documents that the fees were paid, the amount of $356 in 2012 before the due date, and I'm now being penalized paying something like $900 or $1,000 for late fees. At this time, I am disabled and I'm not working. I do not have the funds to pay this. So I would like to have a consideration for this issue here.
Okay, we're going to ask you to just, until I just take a seat.
Thank you.
And I'm going to ask for other speakers. And what was it? Item L, the 88, I think it's the 8823, am I right? Is that the one that we're going to continue?
What's 30 days?
Okay. Okay, we're going to have somebody come speak to you on this side. She should be right. You see her headed your way? Well, no. Okay, Mr. Spindler and Miss McAllister.
Look at what you're doing. Disabled women, people who are protected by the ADA, they showed you in queue, the woman paid the lien, $300, you make it $1,135. CD2, twice. Paul Krikorian, not taking care of their people. How can you do this? Disabled people. You got people on fixed incomes. One woman paid it. She's got the paperwork. And you don't even want to look at her paperwork. You're too busy with your texting to look at her paperwork. Have to come all day. All these liens are illegal. Every one of them is illegal. Every single one of these liens should be dismissed. We need a class action lawsuit for all these people because it's the same story over and over again. These people paid these liens, or these liens are inflated with stupid interest and charges that do not relate to the cleanup issue. This is not being done to serve the public. This is being done as a budget profit motive. You got to stop this. When they pay these liens, you got to give them a satisfaction of the lien, and you have to have them record it. They don't record it, it gets interest, but you know that. So you work with your third-party vendors who are campaign donors to take and collect on it and give you a higher percentage after they're cut. These people are victims. And if anybody out there practices law in real estate, this should be the newest class action to enjoin the city from any more of these illegal liens, because they're all illegal. This is a sham. It's an absolute fraud. These people are paying these liens. This has to stop.
Thank you. Ms. McAllister.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do agree. We do need a class action lawsuit on this. From talking to people, many of them don't even know about this. One person here at 4325 East Huntington Drive, $397. Do you think they know that they're going to be on the street over $397? If they knew about this, they'd be on the street with a cup collecting money. So I think this is some kind of ripoff. And again, I'll mention the, I'll talk about that later. But I think we need some sort of panel to invite these people in before you put them on this list, to take their homes, to invite them in and talk to them and see what we can do for them. Give them some kind of payment plan or something like that. But to be throwing people on the street, coming in here in the city council, voting on their property, this is communistic. This is what they do in communist societies. Now remember, LAHSA did this homeless count this year, and there's about 50,000 homeless in LA County alone. There's 30,000 in Los Angeles.
Let's stay on this subject.
Now, with 30,000 homeless in Los Angeles, you've got every day we come in, 3 days a week we come here, and you're doing at least 40 or 50 of these liens a week. Now, you multiply that by the number of weeks we have in a year, which is 52. You're taking a lot of homes. You multiply that by 10 years. Most of the Los Angeles people will be out on the street with liens. You act this panel, and I don't know where the mayor is. He's somewhere dealing with Olympics. I think you're the mayor, and I will call you mayor. You're here every day listening to us. He got his re-in somewhere at an Olympic. We need to vote Garcetti out of office.
No. Stay on the subject. All right. That's the last comment card on that item. So this is what I'm going to do. For those of you that came and made but let me just finish this for them, and then I'll call on you. We're going to close the public comment. We'll hold these. I'm going to take up another item, and then we'll come back and vote on this. Mr. Buscaino.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. 1 T per Charles. We need to continue for 2 weeks. 1 T as in Tom.
And that's until November 10th.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. In fact, we might be able to deal with this now. I've been handed a note that says 1G. The agreement is to continue that for 2 weeks. So, Madam Clerk, that would put us, November 10th?
Yes.
And then 1T for 2 weeks, the same date. 1L, 30 days, which would be November 27th.
Which is a holiday, so it'd be December 1st.
December 1st. 1Q, 2 weeks. So that, again, November
10th?
Yes. And 1J, what did you say the date was? That's a 30-day? December
1st.
Okay. So that's what we'll do. That should answer most of the questions that were asked. We can vote on whatever is remaining. Let us open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, we're going to go to item 2. Okay, Rodrigo, looks like Lazo, Dario, I can't quite make out the last name, Alma Flores, I thought I saw her earlier, Sherry Franklin, Mr. Walsh, does Mr. Walsh have time? Mr. Walsh is out of time. So why don't we deal with the names that I've called? Please come forward and identify yourself. Yes, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Rodrigo Lasso. I am an owner on Central Avenue. I'm here about item number 2, in which a group of people got together and decided that the city is not doing their job, especially Mr. Price, who's the councilman, and they are proposing to double our property taxes to create a corporation in which job is going to be doing the city's job, which items including cleaning the streets, which the city already does that, patrolling the streets, the LA Police Department does that, securing the site. They are proposing to put monitoring cameras all along Central Avenue, which is undoable. And they're going to propose, I assisted a couple of meetings of them, and the items they are mentioning are being done already by the city, and we're paying for it in our property taxes. I guess initially when the city wants to do this type of job, they say, we don't have money, and we want to put taxes on the property owners, so we're paying already those taxes for those services. I was told by them, also they're going to call 311 to pick up the garbage which is in the streets, but we don't have garbage. Our Central Avenue, which is not South Central, is Central Avenue, looks pretty good, looks the same way that other streets look. The city is doing a good job as possible. The LAPD is monitoring the site, and we are okay with it. We don't need to pay more. We don't have money to pay for this services, which is being done by the city. We are poor owners on Central Avenue. We don't have money. They cannot get blood from people who doesn't have blood, okay? Mr. Price had to talk to the institutions or have their services done. Thank you.
Thank you. So if I could get the next, just come and identify yourself. Just come on, Ms. Franklin. I can identify you, but identify yourself.
Thank you so much, Council President, and thank you, Council members, and particularly Councilmember Curran Price from CD9. The Central Avenue Historic District Formation Committee has worked over the past 18 months, and myself personally, almost 25 years working on Central Avenue to enhance the economic development and preserve the cultural heritage of Central Avenue. The bid has 188 property owners that are from all walks of life, Persian, Latino, African American, Korean, and we've been very proud to be able to engage with all the property owners to hear their voices and what they need and what they want. Some supporting, some not, but the goal is to improve Central Avenue and to improve the businesses, the marketing, and hopefully attract more customers to the stores so that the property owners and businesses can thrive. We plan a very robust maintenance program as well as security program, a safety program, as well as branding and marketing Central Avenue, and working to improve the parking along the corridor. We are very excited that we have support of many property owners on the corridor, and we will continue to work over the next 5 years, if this is approved, to make Central Avenue just as robust as so many other bids within the city of Los Angeles. Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you. And if we could have the next speaker please come forward, identify yourself, then begin.
Good morning. My name is Dario. The timing of this bid is off, so I wanted to show that I'm opposed to this bid simply because the area in which the bid is trying to push for is between Slauson and Vernon, so those are roughly, we're talking about more than 10 blocks, roughly close to 20. The thing is that the arguments that were brought forth in the meetings that we've had prior in favor of the bid show that the bids have worked in other locations. However, what they miss here is that in between these streets from Slauson and Vernon on Central Avenue, the majority of people that live in this neighborhood are making between minimum wage and $12 an hour. And once you add this bid in order to essentially help out the businesses, what you're actually doing is increasing the prices of everything. It's sort of like an inflation tax, simply because property owners would not want to pay for this. So what they're going to do is simple. They're just going to raise the property rent on the business owners. So eventually it'll move out or get rid of small businesses. So the new businesses that come in, they're essentially going to be paying the bill because the property owner will take advantage and charge the entire tax on the new incoming business owners. So the majority of people that live in this neighborhood are poor people. They're mostly people living on welfare and EBT food stamps. A lot of people usually pay for products and buy merchandise with these EBT cards and food stamps. So including this tax not only brings a small bit of inflation in the neighborhood, but also ruins business for people because people have been making a living with these businesses. So this is very negative, but I understand their intentions are good to improve. However, the effect of having more security cameras put in place does not guarantee safety. Having apparently these ambassadors, as in 6 people roaming the streets to make the place more secure, doesn't guarantee security.
Thank you, sir. So if I could have the next speaker, and then I want to add to the list Miss Patricia McAllister. Yes, please identify yourself.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Salma Flores. I've been on Central Avenue since 1985. When I started my business, I was almost by myself. We worked so hard as small business that are there to improve Central Avenue. Central Avenue is already improved, but too many non-profit organizations come to install in the last time, and this vote is gonna need a 51%. They told me we are already the 51% because they include the non-profit concerned citizen, Dunbar Economic Development, the police department, the Parks and Recreation directors, and the Superior, which is a big corporation, the Family Farm, which is a big corporation, and we, the people, the one were there when it was only prostitution and only abandoned buildings, we cannot make it to pay. I pay, for example, for one property, almost $4,000, and pay another $2,000. I'm going to work night shift to pay all those taxes, to don't lose my property because I have them for many years. I don't want to lose them, and now they want to add another $2,000. Trust me, it's too much for me. What it means? They say, see, just increase the rent for you people. It's people that have been supporting me for many years. Many of them, they are sick. Myself, I'm becoming an old person. So it's unfair, and this time to pay, forget security. Trust me, if you go walk by Central, it's not a scary place that it used to be. So I really invite you to analyze who, if really it's come to 51%, who is really supporting this? The really small business or the really non-profit organization and the big corporation? Thank you very much.
Thank you. So if I could get Anna Tapia as well. Sir, if you would come and identify yourself. I don't know if I have a card on you.
You don't. I'm from Councilman Price's district. I told him I was coming. My name is Timothy Dyer. I'm pastor of St. Patrick's Church on Jefferson and Central.
Yes, Reverend.
I like my councilman, but I've told him why I oppose this measure. I believe it's a tax on poor people. St. Patrick's Catholic Church is a nonprofit, and while we're concerned about the community, we don't believe that churches should be taxed. Ours will be taxed up to $28,000 over a 5-year period. The church built that very beautiful structure that's there now, our church, with the donations of Catholic churches throughout the Archdiocese. People who attend the church could never have put that building there. We didn't go to the business community to ask them to help improve our part of the neighborhood, our block, by building that church. And I don't think we should be asked to improve the businesses and their needs from our church. If you came to me and said, we're going to build a library, we're going to put in at the Dunbar Hotel a school to teach kids how to play saxophone and piano in line with the historic jazz corridor. If you told me that you were going to double the size of a place called Home, a nonprofit 25 years on our block that's been helping children, I'd go to our people and I'd say, all right, well, let's take up a collection. Let's start working for that. But I don't think we should have to do for businesses the things we do for ourselves. We take off our own graffiti. We keep our streets clean. We've paved and landscaped a full city block on Central Avenue, and I don't think it's fair to do it. And I finally think that it's always going to be an issue of gentrification, and this is a prelude to that kind of thing. You bring higher business taxes in, our people will be moved out. I think the City of Los Angeles needs places that are not just HUD-funded boxes to house our poor people. We need neighborhoods. They should stay in the neighborhoods they're in now. They are poor, and they're proud of the place where they live.
Thank you for coming down. Next, please come forward and identify yourself.
Hi, good morning. I'm Ana Tapia, and I'm here representing CRCD, Coalition for Responsible Community Development. We are a local nonprofit working in the Vernon Central area, and we also own 2 properties on Central Avenue. We have been working to educate the public and inform the public about what the bid could do, and also attend all the bid meetings and kind of act as we translate and talk to the community. We support the bid, not only because we believe in economic development and we believe that this will improve the economic development of the corridor, but also because this will create unity for other property owners. Central Avenue has a lot of absentee owners that don't take care of their properties, and all the property owners that are here obviously do take care of their properties and they clean the front, but we have a lot of property owners that are not responsible. So this would hold those property owners accountable and improve the safety, improve the cleanliness of the corridor, and thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and Ms. McAllister, even though we had other cards submitted, they were submitted too late. They were submitted after the conversation on this item began, so you're the last speaker.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. I do attend the Central Avenue Jazz Festival every year, and Council Member Price is doing a great job. I was there this year. I think I'm in favor of the Business Improvement District, but I think we need some African American businesses. That's what I don't see when I go to the festival every year. And what also bothers me is they don't have African American children, musicians playing with the Los Angeles Bell Band.
But stay on the topic.
Okay, I'll stay on the topic. I think we should support this. This particular district was our greatest musicians, jazz musicians, used to stay on Central Avenue when they came here back in the 30s and 40s because they were not allowed in white establishments. So I think it's a very important district. I've been there many years. For the last maybe 6 or 7 years, I've been going to the festival. So I think we should do as much as we can to support the businesses and the people who live around there, because every year they allow us to park in front of their houses and everything.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Mr. Price, you want to close on this?
Mr. President, I just want to speak in favor of this effort. This is an exciting effort by local businesses to take responsibility for their community. This effort has been going on for many years, off and on. Finally, we got a group of multi-cultural property owners who've been working together over the past several months, collecting signatures, talking to each other, agreeing upon the benefits of a business improvement district and how it's going to enhance a number of other activities that are already going on Central Avenue. Streetscape improvements, designation of as a street, a special street, and there are a number of other things going on that will complement public sector activities going on that are going to complement this private sector effort to organize. We know how effective bids have been in other parts of our community. We're excited to see this occur in South LA, and I urge your support, members. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Let's prepare to vote on this item. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, if I'm wrong, let me know, Madam Clerk. I believe we're now at general public comment.
Yes, and Mr. President, just for the record, for item 2, Council should close the public hearing, and the public announcement, the tabulation of the ballots, will be announced tomorrow on October 28th.
All right, then it is officially closed. Okay, let's now move to general public comment. I've got Mr. Previn, Ms. Ramirez. I think I have Martha Gonzalez. Please come forward. If I've called your name, please come forward. I do not see Mr. Previn. We'll move on to Ms. Ramirez, then a Martha Gonzalez.
And as they're coming, Mr. President, there's a request to send item 20 forthwith.
Without objection. And then we'll go to Ms. Cernoff. Cernoff, Ruth, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Thank you. I am here to admonish everyone regarding the deliberate failure of the Music Center Grand Park. The Music Center Grand Park. The unscrupulous malfeasance of the Music Center Grand Park management and public safety, particularly in the lower park. The following are the biggest problems. The Music Center's unlawful hiring practices of particularly the morning and evening shift housekeeping wetbacks who also run with the gangs and gang stalkers. They do a lousy job of cleaning. They're too busy yakking with the gangs and the wetback homies. They're also secret audio, video, spyware in the female bathroom ceilings and other undisclosed areas, thanks to the housekeeping department. Next, the female bathrooms have no toilet paper and or toilet seat covers by 7:30 a.m. The wetbacks male, Tol Chango, is blowing the leaves in the park, and the toilet paper spools and spindles are broken. They also plug up and vandalize the toilets, causing them to be out of order. Then there's the diarrhea and feces and urine paper all over the bathroom floors.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Your time has expired. And I don't have a card on you. You need to fill out a card. No, you need to fill out a card on general public comment. So just fill it out and I'll call you later. Just fill out the card and I'll call you. There's no card from you. So I'm looking for Miss Gonzalez and Ruth Cernoff and a Mr. Walsh, Mr. Marine. And sergeants, would you please get a card? I think that's Mr. Key or Mr. Prentice. Get a card from him.
John Walsh, blogging at HollywoodHighlands.org. We expect Governor Jerry Brown, when he returns from Paris, to announce that he is running for president. Check our website, J. Walsh Confidential. Suddenly, the police commission here in L.A. canceled its meeting today. I think they agree with the FBI Director Comey that the cops are going to stay in their squad cars. They're too chicken shit to get out of their squad cars, and they're going to let the gangs rule and get their piece of the action from the gangs. Black Lives Matter. That's what we expect. No, we got 2 or 3 black ministers attacking them. Well, you know, during when we had the Civil War, there were some blacks who supported the Confederacy and fought for the Confederacy. Thank God for Black Lives Matter. And and let's have a next meeting at Holman Memorial Church for City Council.
Okay, thank you. So, Ruth, please come forward. Mr. Marine, I'm still looking for Miss Gonzalez, Ruth Cernoff at this time. And somebody bring me the card that we just got. Yes.
Ruth Sarnoff. I want to bring to your attention in regard to the budget summary that the transfer of money between the DWP and the city of Los Angeles is in there once again. It's millions of dollars. And I wish that also to put a piece that I read before, and I'm putting that in the public record also, as well as a copy of the budget in case anybody wants to get it from the public record, they can. And the city stake in DWP hikes is an article from the LA Times where the money goes. It's dated 7/31/15. I also want to put in the public record item number 3. Item number, the one that's has to do with the cleaning of storm drains and all that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
And also... Thank you,
Ruth. Your time is up.
County...
So thank you. Your time is up. If I could get Mr. Marine and Mr. Marine, please come forward. And I got your card, Mr. Jenkins, so I'm not going to forget you. Okay, so, and after you, if I could get Mr. Spindler. Yes, Mr. Marine.
Yes, as you know, MOU-defined deductions account for the various sums city, county, and HACLA employer representatives volunteered to invest in union banks or hold in city bank accounts on behalf of the government subject to payments to public employee benefit fund administrators in the future. Now we know these public employer representatives failed to make contributions to public employee benefit plans for the benefit of these employees longer than the law allows. Consequently, you're going to have to make back payments to these public employee pension benefit plans, as shown in California Government Code 20283. Now, do you understand this, Mr. City Attorney? How come they don't understand this shit?
Okay, Mr. Spindler, and you will be followed by Ms. McAllister and Mr. Hunt.
There you go. Rate hike rate 4%. Jill Banks Barad, war criminal. Jill Banks Barad, tell everybody in the Valley the Benedict Arnold at Jill Banks Barad. You are not welcome in the Valley Alliance and Neighborhood Councils. Boot her from that position. Liar. Raised our rates 4%. Liar. She assured the 33 councils that day in the last meeting that there was not going to be a rate hike until Mr. Pickle reviewed his paperwork, a minimum of December 2015. Liar. No on Mitchell Englander for the supervisor job. He's a failure. We had a budget committee meeting upstairs yesterday. He never shows up. He doesn't care about his job. He's not doing his job. Finally, the Olympics cannot come to the city. The city police commission meetings are all canceled.
Thank you. Your time has expired. So if I could get Ms. McAllister, Mr. Hunt, and Mr. Prentice Jenkins to close. You will be the closer. Yes, Ms. McAllister.
I'd like to ask everyone to do some research on the Bolshevik Russian Revolution, Bolshevik. You'll see the similarities in what's happening today. First, the communists have to take the properties. And if you look across the U.S., you'll see all of these properties being confiscated by our so-called government. And I don't call them governments, I call them thugs. The next thing is guns. That's what Russia did. They took all the weapons from the people, and Stalin went on to kill 60 million Russians and others. I see this happening here in the U.S. Now, President Putin just admitted that 85% of those Bolshevik Russians were Jews, because Jews denied it for years, saying it wasn't them. It was them. It was them. So we need to keep our eye open, and I think we need to get rid of Mayor Garcetti. He was at one of the festivals this year playing the piano. You know, all that old crap. We got people living on the street. Now he's with some doggone Olympic. Get his rear end out of office and put this man in office.
Mr. Hunt.
Thank you. I like the idea of getting Mayor Garcetti out of here, too. But even this, you got to listen to this.
Brought a lawsuit against the City of Angels after being removed.
No, speaking to the mic, Mr. Hunt. We don't have devices. So come on.
If you listen, it's regarding the City of Los Angeles.
Just tell us about it. No, we're not doing that.
Okay, check it out. You guys have capriciously abused my rights. But number one, I see that you and Eric Garcetti are going to meetings but not solving the problems of Los Angeles. We need problem solvers. And who raises taxes during election time? That is the dumbest thing I ever heard. Nobody raises taxes during election time. You guys are getting ready to get sued for the third time. You guys are all jackasses. You guys never vote no or yes. Get it together.
Thank you.
Eric Garcetti out of office.
Mr. Jenkins, we're looking for some sanity. Please come forward.
I'm right here.
Well, but we can't do that, Mr. We can't do the devices. Hold his time, because you're kind of new. I need you to say it.
Okay.
No, because we can't. That's disruptive. We can't. So anyway, we're going to start your time, but it's got to be you.
Okay, you started over?
We're starting from now. Go on.
Okay. I thought you were going to start it over.
No, go on.
All right. I want to talk about the insanity in the police and fire department. gay cops, gay firemen stalking men. They stalked. Oh yeah. You have. I have it on. I have it on here. I got a cop holding on to a black man's penis for 4 seconds. That's not a search. I have a cop putting her hand down a woman's backside and front side. Yeah, you have them in the. I was talking about pervert cops and firemen and stalkers who stalk straight men. I'm one of those straight men. You can laugh, but nobody believed that the Klan existed 120 years ago. They thought all those black people hanging in those trees.
Thank you. Thank you. And members, I spoke too soon. Okay, that concludes general public comment. Madam Clerk, is there any more business before this body?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
They are posted and referred.
That clears the desk.
Members' announcements. No announcements. If I could ask everyone to please rise for adjourning motions. Everybody, please rise. Look to my left side, which would be Mr. Fuentes, Mr. Harris Dawson's side. I do not see any to my left. I'm now looking to my right. Mr. Koretz, do you have one?
Yes.
Mr. Koretz.
Thank you, Mr. President. An old friend of mine, Howard Krapak, passed away a few weeks ago at age 67. Born in 1948, he earned his bachelor's and Juris Doctor's degree from UCLA, and he was an accomplished attorney and a founding partner of the law firm of Gordon, Edelstein, Krapak, Grant, Felton, and Goldstein. He was well known for taking on a number of difficult cases and obtaining substantial verdicts in a variety of complex personal injury matters such as product liability, wrongful death, and medical malpractice, and left a legacy of success in fighting for justice for the injured. He also became such a staunch and respected advocate for the right of bicyclists that the LA County Bicycle Coalition created the Howard Krapak Service to Cycling Award and presented it to him at the 2012 Los Angeles River Ride. He was passionate about family, friends, sports, politics, books, music, cycling, and he was simply a great guy who was fully engaged in the world. And that was true even during the tough tail end of his life. For 5 years, he courageously battled the deadly, life-altering illness known as ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. And there's a fund in his honor called Krapak for a Cure, which is raising money for his memory at the Robert Packard Center for ALS Research at Johns Hopkins. And because he was so devoted to helping publicize the facts of the disease, I do want to share a little bit of information. ALS usually strikes people between the ages of 40 and 70. Approximately 20,000 Americans have the disease at any given time. And for unknown reasons, military veterans are about twice as likely to be diagnosed with it than the general public. Some of the famous people who have been struck by this illness include actor David Niven, pitcher Jim Catfish Hunter, former Senator Jake Javits, Vice President Henry Wallace. Of course, we all hope that a cure will be found, and if so, we owe Howard Krapak that much more. But in his life, he already gave us much that does endure. And he's survived by his wife Vivian, sons Michael and Adam, daughter Rachel, brothers Alan and Jeffrey, and mother Irene.
Thank you, Mr. Koretz. I'm continuing to look on my right side. I don't see any other adjourning motions. Members, today's council session is adjourned.